Now with Craig Button and Craig, John Tavares' big night has him just shy of a point per game on the season. Of course, he is a pending UFA who will be 35 years old next season. What do you think his next contract will look like? And should the Leafs wait and see how things go this postseason before they commit to him again?
Why don't we look at how the contract could look? And the key part of this, Mark, is that he's going to be 35 years old in September. So it can't be a long-term contract if you're the Leafs or any team for that matter. But you also look at John Tavares and you see how productive he's been, that he's still a very effective player. Clearly a second-line center at this point in his career. Now, there's any number of teams around the NHL that need a number 2 center, and John Tavares would fit the bill for so many of them, including the Toronto Maple Leafs. So now we start to look at the term. And you got to look, okay, what will he look like at 37, 38? If I'm the Toronto Maple Leafs, it's no more than a 3-year deal. No way. Now, you start to look at the dollars, and you start to look at where the cap is going up and his contributions. You know, everybody talks about hometown discount, but you got to feel good about what you're doing as a player. You got to feel good about where your value is at. And John Tavares' value is still high. And I think that if he wants to sign now, you might be able to get him for a little less. Because if he hits the market on July 1st, I think John Tavares will be pleasantly surprised by how many offers will come in at really good dollars. I mean, when you look at his production, I don't see how you can get him for less than $7.5 million a year. I just don't. Mm-hmm. And you look at a 3-year deal, you know, that's $21 to $22.5 million. And maybe I'm selling him short. But that, to me, is the reality for John Tavares. And it's a reality based on how well he's played, what a terrific leader he has been. And there's still a lot of gas in that tank. That's why I think that, you know, you get to July 1st, you want to see that, you want to maybe look at the market. If not, it might be in the Leafs' best interest to look at John Tavares right now and get him signed if those dollars in that term is amenable.
And it's not the only decision Toronto has to make. So would you use a wait-and-see approach with Mitch Marner?
You have no choice. Mitch Marner has full control over the entire scenario. Nobody else. Nobody else. Mitch and Mitch alone. So Mitch will determine what he wants to do. Now, that being said, I think Mitch has been very clear. He said, I'm not talking about it in season. I'm going to talk about it at the end of the year, and I'll see where it's at. I mean, in light of what just transpired at the trade deadline, you know, with the speculation, rumors, news about potentially was he asked to waive his no trade, was he not, right? He's also stated he wants to be a Maple Leaf. He sees himself as a Maple Leaf. But Mitch Marner is going to determine if that happens now or in 2 weeks or on July 2nd. Because Mitch Marner is the best available free agent on July 1st. And that market price is going to be significant. And Mitch Marner knows that. The Toronto Maple Leafs know that. Now, who's going to wait? Because the Toronto Maple Leafs have no choice but to wait on Mitch Marner. Because Mitch Marner want to see what the market bears for his tremendous, tremendous services being a frontline player.
And it's so interesting that all the Leafs goalies and D-men are under contract beyond next year, but the Leafs do have 6 free agent forwards headlined by Tavares and Marner, as well as pending RFA Matthew Nyes.